Now, next up is a Foo Fighters film. Bruce and Eric, do you guys like the Foo Fighters or Foo Fighters? Do you enjoy their music? Do you tolerate it? How do you guys feel about their music in general?
I was a bigger fan of Nirvana, but I dig a couple of Foo Fighters songs. They're not my favorite, but there's a couple that I jam once in a while. I think I like Dave Grohl as a personality more than I like the music. But yeah, I don't hate him, but I'm not in love with them either.
Bruce?
Exactly the same. I was more to Nirvana than I am the Foo Fighters. But once again, I don't hate the Foo Fighters. They are a good rock band. And there aren't that many rock bands these days. And they do it, and they do it well, and they do it fairly unpretentiously. And I mean, I have no animosity towards them. And they have a few great songs, a few bangers, as we say. There's a few of them out there.
Well, Studio 666, okay, number of the beast, Studio 666. It would seem like a vanity project with Foo Fighters, with Dave Grohl at the helm. He's obviously the lead of this movie, and he's dramatically the lead. He's the one who gets most of the lines, most of the scenes. He's the one who's anchoring the narrative. His fellow bandmates also get their share of screen time as well. The cool thing about this movie is it feels like a vanity project, but it's not. It's a really cool, I really enjoyed this horror comedy. And the premise is the band, they're trying to actually make their manager some money. Their manager, played by Jeff Garland, he needs the money. He needs them to actually make their 10th album. He wants it to be a hit. He has them move into an Encino mansion up in the hills of Encino to actually, and this mansion, supposedly, I think without some of the bandmates knowing, it might be a haunted mansion. We as the viewers know because there's something grisly that happens within the opening moments of this narrative. But the rest of the movie has the bandmates, especially Dave Grohl, getting in the mansion and realizing, I don't even know if they even realize it, but there is something amiss going on. There might be possession, there might be a haunting, there might be ghosts, there might be demons and devils, but it's not a psychological horror film where it's atmospheric. It's just over the top gory and it's comedic. So that is the premise of Studio 666. Eric Holmes, overall, did you really enjoy this movie?
Yes, a lot. This reminded me a lot of, if anyone listening has ever seen Rock and Roll Nightmare with John Michael Thor. And it's similar. They go and they're in this house, and the house has monsters in it, and a bunch of all hell breaks loose. This is almost the exact same plot as that. It's certainly rough around the edges. I think like Dave Grohl's pretty good in this. Who's the keyboard player? The cool guy. He's pretty good in this.
Yeah.
Pat Smear's not the greatest actor, but he still has a couple good parts. For the most part, they're not all great actors, but this isn't that kind of movie. This is like hey guys, fuck it, we got a weekend. Let's make a movie. Cool. All right. And then they just that's what it felt like. I'm sure there was a lot more went into it than that. A long time ago with some friends, we made a movie over the weekend called Lick the Evil. Didn't look anywhere near as good as this, but it had that same kind of energy where it's like, we're just gonna fuck around, have some fun. Yeah, it's a fun horror movie. I think people have a lot of fun with it, and it's certainly better than a movie that's completely full of itself that's on Netflix right now, featuring a chainsaw.
Okay. Yeah, I think is it set in Texas? I don't know what this movie is about. Anyways, here's another thing. There's a lot of jokes in this movie. And the jokes, for the most part, land. There are a couple of really cool cameos. There is a cameo moment where Dave Grohl is sitting, I think it's by the keyboards or piano, and he's starting to play something. And I go, no, you are not going to play this song. And he plays it, and something happens. And I thought I actually laughed out loud. It was really funny. There's a lot of funny moments on one level, and the gore it really gets bloody, but it's not squeamish bloody because within the context of the narrative. So I enjoyed it just as much as Eric did. Bruce, your take on this? Oh, yes.
Real quick, that cameo you're talking about, that was spoiled. I think it was on like one of the late night talk shows. I don't want to spoil it here because I didn't know. I saw that after the fact, and that cameo is really great. But I also wanted to point out Whitney Cummings is in this. She's really, I think everyone in this movie knows what movie they're in. What's the word? They knew the assignment.
They knew the assignment.
But
yeah, it's a very, very funny lemon bar bit, which we're not going to spoil regarding Whitney Cummings. I laughed at that too. It's a stupid joke, but it's a throwaway joke, and I laughed. Bruce. Are you on board with this movie?
I am on board with this movie. I had a lot of fun with it. And once again, pretty much in line with what Eric is saying, this movie is so good natured and so just having fun with itself. It's not all up its own ass, you know, it doesn't think it's important. And what I thought was really interesting is, in a lot of ways, this is kind of a throwback movie. Like you said, you know, this, you know, popular band gets a vanity project. Pick your or performer, you know, Prince or whoever it is, you know, they get their vanity projects, they make their movie, and then usually it's a way to string it together a bunch of musical performances or songs. I was very happily surprised that this didn't have a bunch of Foo Fighter songs in the movie. They actually made a movie, and the song that is being performed in this movie throughout is integral to the plot. There's a reason they're doing it. And like you said, there's a bunch of practical gore that's really fun and interesting. Plus, I almost thought about how this might have been pitched by Dave Grohl to the other bandmates. I'm not going to say because I don't want to spoil, but I can imagine him saying like, hey, we're going to make a movie and this is what's going to happen to all you guys. I'm just going to leave it at that. And I can just imagine that was pretty funny probably too. Best use of the band Jackal ever in a movie, I would say. It is the best chainsaw kill that I've seen in the last week. And I saw a movie that was all about chainsaw kills, but this was the best one.
We love you, Netflix.
By far.
We love you, Netflix.
I didn't say anything. You said it.
No. I was just thinking out loud. Sorry.
A stupid running joke in this movie is all about making sure you bring ranch. And that hit extra great for me because every time I go out and get stuff like fast food, if I forget ranch for my wife, she's really upset. So on the whole movie, I was like, this is Dave. Dave knows me. He knows me. Yeah, this is just fun, dumb. This is definitely like Saturday night, people are over, you want to throw something on, you don't have to pay too close of attention to it. And every so often something will happen and you'll all stop and go like, oh, whoa. You'll get another beer or get another, you know, chip with your ranch or whatever you're drinking and eating that night. This is a lot of fun. I liked it.
I like Foo Fighters a little bit more than both of you guys, but I don't have all of their albums. Okay, so I have a playlist of Foo Fighters songs that I do like. I also enjoyed how this movie doesn't do a deep dive on their body of work, because this could have been a self-promotional type of movie. But the songs, I'm not going to give which songs they spotlight, but the songs they spotlight in this movie are so obviously not for promotion because these are already standout songs. I mean, just name a couple of songs that Foo Fighters cannot promote, should never promote because they're too popular and yeah, it shows up in this movie. So basically they're not, in a way it's a self-promotional film, but they're really not promoting themselves as much as the fact that, like Eric was saying, they're out there, they're having a good time, it's a lark, and to top it all off, they want to make a good story. A complaint, here's a complaint this movie might receive. It's 105 minutes. The third act, it goes on and on and on. People might want a 90-minute trim, but I loved how you think it's going to end 1 second and then it keeps on going and then it keeps on going. I liked all the different layers to the third act. Eric and Bruce, what did you think of that when the third act of it? Did it land for you?
The word.
Oh yeah,
I loved it.
Yeah,
it was very gory, very violent, and I was kind of there for it.
If I would have trimmed anything, I would have trimmed the middle act a little bit. I would have trimmed with there's a little, probably one or two too many practice scenes. They probably could have tightened that up a little bit in the middle. But I mean, it's a mild complaint. But I would not have trimmed anything in the end because that's where all the blood really starts flying. So no.
The thing about the practice scenes though is I really like that song that they were jamming out to. And I mentioned this to you guys. So my friend's band Blood Cow, I got huge Blood Cow vibes off of that Foo Fighters song. And maybe I'll have to post it in the cinematics whenever we put this up. But and I doubt anyone from the Foo Fighters will listen to this, but if they do, you need to get Blood Cow back together and tour with you guys because you'll clearly love them.
And they have put out at least one song that was supposedly made by the band that was previously there. At least one of those songs is out. And they really need to put out a limited edition picture disc that's the one song only, and it should be the whole song. Yeah, they need to do that. They need to do that for collectors and people who want to get weird stuff.
35 minutes of it.
The director of this movie, I forget his name, but he did
BJ McDonnell.
Yeah, it was about a year or two ago. They had like 3 different Slayer videos, and all the videos were kind of connected, almost like a giant size short, basically. First of all, if you work with Slayer, you're automatically on the cool list because Slayer's awesome. But yeah, I forgot where I was going with that. But
Where were you going with that?
I guess I just
Slayer,
wanted an excuse to talk about Slayer.
Slayer, John
Oh,
Carpenter's doing the title. What? Yeah.
oh, yeah, we can't talk about that cameo. That was a good cameo. But there was watching this, I was the Rock and Roll Nightmare with John Michael Thor, and then you got this, and I'm trying to think of, I guess Pink Floyd The Wall, kind of, but I'd like to see more bands do stuff like this. Kind of, hey, we're gonna be in a movie, maybe make like a Ed Wood type movie, or maybe maybe you want to do a science fiction or horror, whatever kind of movie you like. I like the idea of bands just kind of getting together, and it's like, they do music videos. This is just a longer music video, so I'd like to see more bands kind of take the bull by the horn and run with this sort of thing. Now, granted, it could get to a point where it becomes too much, but right now there's hardly any of it, so fuck it, go nuts.
Okay, cool.
Get in early if you can.
So ratings, I give Studio 666 just because 666. I give this movie 4 stars. I'm a Foo Fighters fan. I just thought the jokes landed. It's a lark. Some people might not. It has a specified taste, but I really love the whole horror comedy element of it, and it didn't take itself too seriously. 4 stars for me. Bruce, what about you?
Realistically, for most people, it's probably going to be a 3-star movie, but for me, it's 4-star as well, because I think there's just enough fun to be had here. I smiled throughout. So I can't knock it down any lower than 4 stars.
Very cool. How about you? Finally, Eric Holmes, what do you give it?
I'm gonna have to go 4.5 because this is like one of those movies that calls it shot and just hits it perfect. Granted, the shot's not that far, but still they called it. But this is one of those movies I can watch over and over again, and I'll probably be quoting it soon enough. So 4.5.
And if you watch it over and over again, there are things on the first viewing we're gonna miss, little red herrings. People who worked in this, maybe some of the cameos or maybe some of the in jokes. So it's a movie that you can watch more than one time. Again, this is a really interesting movie. We all loved it. 4 stars for me, 4 stars for Bruce Purkey, Eric Holmes, 4.5 stars. Thank you, Eric Holmes, for putting 4.5 on my Google Doc to make life easier for me. F you, Bruce, for never making life easy for me. Studio 666. I'm kidding, Bruce. I love you very much. Okay, so it's out only in theaters on Friday, February 25th.